Hey everybody, it's Brian Costello from Core Mental Health Counseling. I just wanted to share a little bit about stress, anxiety, and depression, and how to apply some recovery principles to all of those. So the story I want to start with is from a time period in my own life where I was in grad school for social work, and I was working full time, and I decided to go back part time to school. To go to school part time, and it was a 3 year program. So I was about halfway through it. It was really pretty intense. My thought was, at 27 when I went back to school, was I could either at 30 have, a graduate degree or not. So I figured, why not just go? Well, it was a lot more work, a lot more time and energy, a lot more sacrifice than I ever imagined. Totally worth it, but really it was a lot. And so when I halfway through it, I was in the middle of one of my internships. I believe this one was at Children's Hospital. And it was 15 hours a week. I was working full time with, some overtime and trying to balance schoolwork and life. And I was so stressed. I mean, stressed just beyond the max. Um, and so, something happens to your body when you are under stress for that long of a period of time. And with grad school, it's a subtle stress, but it's there all the time because there's always something that you should be doing, and so the stress never really completely goes away. It's pretty similar to what's going on in life right now, where everybody is under stress. I mean, I don't know. I haven't found anybody that isn't yet. And there's a lot of stressors that are taking place, whether it's financial, just the state of the world, what's going to happen. We don't really know what's going to happen. It's summer, most of the time we're looking forward to doing things that we don't know if we're going to be able to do. Probably not, most of them. Um, so, when the body's under stress for a long period of time, and our stress levels are elevated, most of the time we will drop down into kind of this shutdown state, or some would call it immobilization. So, in fight or flight, our body's revved up, and our adrenal glands are kind of pumping overdrive, and then we can drop down into a freeze state, so fight, flight, and freeze. So I was in a little bit of a freeze state. So something also happens when your body drops down into that state, is your mind starts to interpret that, as our mind starts to project onto our life, based on how it feels in the body. So in that moment, I was doing that. So I felt really shut down. Like I didn't have the energy to really do anything, and I started to feel a little depressed. So I went to, like I was accustomed to doing. I was going to meetings, which I regularly do, and 12-step meetings. And I was in the parking lot afterwards, after the meeting, and it's, they say it's the meeting after the meeting. And I was talking to a few friends, and I walked up to them and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking I'm just like getting really prepared to say something like really, really big, And I walked up to my two friends and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm depressed." And it was this long, dramatic pause. I took a deep breath, and they both look at me without even hesitating. And they said, "Do you have a sponsee? Are you working with newcomers?" My first reaction was, "I hate these guys." My second reaction was, "Thank you." The reason that 12-step meetings work so well is, we try to remain in a state of usefulness for a higher power, or the program, or the next sick and suffering alcoholic, and service gets us outside of ourselves. And so in that moment, even though I had no time for myself, I was stressed beyond belief. I also couldn't stop thinking about myself. I couldn't stop thinking, I don't have time. I couldn't stop thinking, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to get through school? I have to go to the hospital. Now I have to go to work. Now I have a paper. And it was 24/7. It was Brian, 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 Brian. All I could think about was me. And as social creatures, we something happens to our central nervous system when we are of service to other people, when we get outside of ourselves, when we can think about and focus on others. So that's kind of the message for today is if you're really, really shut down, if you are really anxious, sometimes the best medicine is to reach out to somebody, that you care about. I keep seeing these messages on social media that say, if you're friends with a nurse, if you're friends with a doctor, if you're friends with a social worker, reach out to them. What I would say is if you're friends with anybody, if you have any family member, reach out to them. Reach out to them. Pick up the phone and just ask how they're doing. And then let them know how you're doing. So it becomes a little bit of a two-way street. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if anybody needs this message today, please feel free to share. And I hope everybody's doing well. Thanks.